Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to episode 9 of the Perspective Matters podcast. Let's talk about opinions. Everyone has them. There are some of us who love to share our opinions, especially when they're unsolicited. Then there's the other side of the spectrum. There are some of us who can't do anything without first checking with the friend group. Do you know someone who must call a general assembly before they decide on a particular issue? Do you know that person who must do a survey before they decide if they should or shouldn't do something? Are you that person? The one who values the opinions of others, maybe more than your own? In a world where we're bombarded by the opinions of others, opinions that are solicited and unsolicited, how do you cope? Is it okay to rely on the opinions of others? Or do you trust your gut and do your own thing? This week's proverb expresses the very sentiment of opinions. Dog with too much massa, sleep without supper. Dog with too much massa, sleep without supper. And the translation is, the dog that has too many masters will go hungry. The dog that has too many masters will go hungry. And the explanation is, rely on your mind and abilities to make decisions. Don't be influenced by the opinions of others. Rely on your mind and abilities to make decisions. Don't be influenced by the opinions of others. And I can hear the argument now. But it's good to have people as sounding boards. You need people to hear your ideas to see if they make sense. But do you though? Do you really need the opinions of others to decide if you want to do or should do something? If I had listened to people, I would have never joined the army. I would have never served in the best unit in the entire force, the Jamaica Defense Force Coast Guard. And don't come for me, you can't argue with facts, okay? If it were up to people, I wouldn't have moved to Canada. And I wouldn't be here now giving you great content weekly on the Perspective Matters podcast. And while the perspective matters, when it comes to your life, whose perspective matters more? Yours or an outsider? And just an FYI, everyone else is an outsider. No one knows the totality of who you are. No one knows every single dream, desire, goal, or wish that you have. No one knows the limits to your abilities and potential. And here's a gem. There is no limit to your potential. The only limit imposed is the one that exists in your mind. So go after your dreams because you deserve it. You should learn to trust yourself because you know what is best for you. According to one of my favorite thought leaders, Wayne Dyer, he said, and I'm going to quote, "Trusting yourself is trusting the wisdom that created you." Let that sink in. Trusting yourself is trusting the wisdom that created you. End quote. You are no accident. Your presence on this earth is no coincidence. Forget what everyone has ever told you. There is a reason you're here. And there's a reason you're hearing my voice in this very moment. My spirit wants to say to your spirit that I see you and it's okay. You don't need to have all the answers. Your life doesn't have to be perfect or ordered. Your human experience doesn't have to look like everyone else's life or anything else you've ever seen. And here's why. You can never get it wrong because you can never get it done. Now, I'm not here to argue the merits of opinions and whether you should pay attention to the opinions of others. I want to encourage you to trust yourself more. Listen to your intuition. And as Wayne Dyer said, trusting in yourself is trusting the wisdom that created you. It had to be the highest form of wisdom that is responsible for the magnificence that is you. You know you're magnificent, right? You do know this. Am I sensing a little disbelief? Just think about the biology that is involved in all that is you. Blood, bone, electrical, and chemical signals all exist in one being. The human nervous system is 90,000 miles of sensation. Do you know how impressive you are? Just Google some facts about the human body and you will know what a wonderful creation you are. Sometimes it's hard to feel special. When the world spends time and billions of dollars telling you you're not. It's challenging to believe that you are enough when the world says you aren't and bombards you with messages that insist you need stuff to feel like you are enough. Buy this and you'll be happy. Get this and you'll feel better. Wear this and you'll fit in. Here's the latest shiny object. It doesn't matter that you don't need it. Just buy it, buy it, buy it. Have you ever noticed that when you buy something new, there's this giddy feeling of excitement? That's how I feel when I buy a new pair of shoes. I love shoes. I could spend hours online looking at shoes. When did I become this person? I have no idea. But this person absolutely loves shoes. And if she had her way, she would come home with every pair she laid her eyes on. Someone please pray for me. If we're honest, there's nothing like buying something new. Just the pleasure you get from touching it, seeing it, wearing it, smelling it. It really is a fleeting feeling. And after the initial excitement and pleasure, you're stuck with another pair of shoes or whatever you really don't need. If you live in North America, you can return it. But now you've just opened yourself up to the inconvenience of going to the store to do a return and possibly seeing something else you might end up buying. And if you're not careful, you're caught in this buying loop. And that is just one way the world tries to influence your belief and corrupt the way you think about yourself. Now, don't get me wrong. I like a shiny object. Maybe not as much as the next girl, but I like pretty things. The key is to appreciate nice things without being materialistic. Because if you're not careful, you'll find yourself treasuring things more than you treasure people or even yourself. We are relational beings, meaning we need relationships to function, especially at our best. If you think otherwise, then you're not living. You're merely existing. And to be frank, you're shortchanging your experience in this reality. Someone once said, and I quote, "Let us be grateful to the people who make us happy. They are the charming gardeners who make our souls blossom." End of quote. Having good relationships with others is very important. But do you know which relationship is most important? You guessed it. It's the relationship with yourself. That is the most important relationship you will ever have, because it's the basis from which all other relationships will form. How you treat yourself is the example others will follow. The level of care you give yourself, the trust, the compassion that you show yourself is what you can expect from others. And that's reasonable, right? You can't put yourself last and expect anyone else to put you first. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to pay special attention to how we can trust ourselves, what we can do to build trust, and why we should trust ourselves. This all seems pretty obvious, but it is truly worth exploring. We trust the opinions and the advice of others more than our gut feelings. I'm fascinated by children. And this fascination stems from more than the desire of having my own, but from the fact that they are so honest, sometimes brutally honest. Have you ever gotten in trouble as a child because you were too honest? Were you the child who told the neighbor, "Mommy said to tell you she's not here"? If you think long and hard, really long and hard, you may remember a time when you two were honest. You said what you thought, and you were unbothered by how others reacted to your honesty. If you didn't like the peas, you spat them out. You didn't like the carrots, you tossed the plate on the floor. Or whatever meal you didn't like, your parents or your caregiver knew beyond the shadow of a doubt that you didn't like the food. When you were upset, you didn't use passive aggression to communicate that you were upset. You wailed, hollered, screamed, and the entire neighborhood knew you were upset. You could pick up on people's energy. You were sensitive to low frequency and bad vibes. You would absolutely refuse to be held by some people. You would kick and scream and make it well known that you didn't want to be held, especially by that person. Then our parents, friends, teachers, and life happened. Nobody likes a tattletale. Or from the Caribbean context, nobody likes an informer. So you learn to hide the truth. You learn to spare people's feelings by not telling them the truth. You learned to euphemize the truth. Master the art of political correctness and politeness. Just picture it. The dress is the most hideous thing you've ever seen. It's unflattering. The color does nothing for your friend. It's all wrong. You know that dress should be burnt and you should never speak of it again. But how do you tell your friend that the dress she's twirling in is hideous? I mean, is it not obvious? She shouldn't be caught dead or alive in that dress. But what do? You smile and nod because you can't trust yourself to speak. Or maybe you're a straight shooter. You call it like you see it. You have no problems calling people out on their mess. And I say, more power to you. But do you ever worry about what people think? Do you care about the opinions of others? If you don't, then well done to you. Well done. If you do care about the opinions of others, then to you, I say stop it. You shouldn't care. Because the next person is trying to keep it together just as much as you are. And as I said last week, people can only give you advice from their experience and what is in the best interest for them. How many times did you really want to do something and you sought advice? You are looking for that encouragement to pursue this thing you wanted to do. And instead, you got talked out of it. Can you relate? That's not a nice feeling, is it? It's not a nice experience to be talked out of a dream. So let's talk about what we can do to never repeat this behavior. I want to share how we can think independently and refuse to rely on anyone else's opinion or validation. Now, before I share the how and the why, let me start with the what. What is self-trust? According to the Oxford Dictionary, self-trust is, and I quote, trust in one's own abilities, qualities, or judgment, self-confidence, end of quote. Now I find it a little peculiar that the Oxford uses the same word to define itself. So here's my definition. Self-trust is the absolute faith and belief in your abilities, qualities, judgment, decision-making. You never give up on yourself. I'll say that again. Self-trust is the absolute faith and belief in your abilities, qualities, judgment, decision-making. You never give up on yourself. So now that we know what it means to have complete faith in ourselves, how do you nurture this faith and develop this self-belief? Especially if it wasn't encouraged in your formative years. Did you have helicopter parents? You know what that is, right? A parent or parents who are always hovering. They never give you the space to breathe, to roam. You are forever tethered to them, and sometimes even literally tethered to them. How do you trust yourself when your parents taught you not to? When they forced you to sit on that person's lap and you didn't want to because you had a bad feeling. When you tried to create your own boundaries, but your own parents couldn't respect that. How do you trust yourself? Here is how. Step 1. You start with kindness and compassion. You recognize that you will not achieve perfection. You are magnificently flawed, and that is okay. Step 2. You set goals for yourself and you accomplish them. You can start with something small and increase the grandeur of the goals as your confidence increases. Accomplishing your goals signals to yourself that you can complete a task as you promised. You can keep your word. My decision to move to Canada didn't happen overnight. The faith in my ability to start over and thrive in a foreign country didn't happen overnight. This confidence came from setting and achieving goals. Whether it was to win an essay writing competition in high school, or to win the junior mayor competition for my city, or to earn a Bachelor of Arts degrees with honors, or to join and serve in the army. All these achievements that I wanted for myself gave me the confidence to pursue the next big thing for me. My next big thing was to move to Canada, and I did. Then it was to finish my marketing program with honors, and I did. Then it was to start my career in advertising, and I did. Building your confidence is something that you do over time. Every opportunity that you get to do something, especially something outside of your comfort zone, you should do it. You're stretching yourself, you're growing, you're trusting yourself. So leap out of that comfort zone. Let discomfort become your BFF. Embrace the opportunities that force you to stretch yourself and to grow. Because the more you do this, the deeper and the stronger the self-trust becomes. And step 3, repeat. Just think about a baby learning to walk. They stand up and they're assisted by mommy, daddy, a coffee table, the sofa, a walker. Soon, they can stand unassisted. Then they take that first step. It's tentative, but they take it. Then they fall. They get up and they learn to hold on and take that step. And soon, they no longer need that support. And what happens? Baby takes the first step, and parents are ecstatic. And it doesn't stop there. Soon baby learns to run. And then you spend the rest of your life chasing those tiny legs. Trusting yourself is a gradual process. It's as gradual as a baby learning to walk. And you too, like the baby, shouldn't give up on yourself. Things will happen, life will happen, and things will knock you down. Life may throw a punch or two your way, and they may land on your chin and knock you flat to the ground. But don't stay down for the count. Get up and shake it off. Each time you get up, you're exercising that resilience muscle, and you learn a little bit more about yourself. We've talked about the what, meaning what is self-trust, and we've just talked about the how. How can you nurture self-trust? Another way you can develop self-trust is by learning about yourself and identifying your strengths and your weaknesses. Self-awareness is a beautiful thing. And when you know who you are beyond the shadow of a doubt, no one can tell you different. The opinions of others don't faze you. Because the reality is, you can't prevent people from having an opinion. It's what they do. It's what we do. We all have opinions. The trick is to be so rooted in your self-belief and to be so self-aware that you can do you and remain unbothered. You march to the beat of your own drum, and you are unapologetic because you're not here to cater to people's feelings. Oh no, 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 no. That is not why you came into this reality. You have things to do, experiences to have, lessons to learn, and the world to change. And you can't do that if you're busy wondering what he, she, or the old lady are thinking about you. Now, what are some practical ways to develop self-trust? 1. Do an honest self-assessment. And the operative word here is honest. If you can't be honest with yourself, then you're wasting your time. And I get it. Sometimes it can be tough to face what we perceive ourselves to be. But here's another gem. Your current perception isn't written in stone. You don't have to remain that way. If there's something you don't like about yourself, change it. But you won't know until you spend some time with yourself. 2. Observe your thoughts, your self-talk, and pay attention to how you feel. Often, we dismiss our feelings when we really should be paying attention to them. Now, while some may argue that feelings aren't facts, they do leave clues. And if we pay attention to these clues and do a little examination, we would uncover more of who we are. What kind of internal monologue is taking place? If your thoughts were projected on the sky for the whole world to see, would you be embarrassed? And would the world be appalled? And yes, if your mind is in the gutter, I'm including you in this. Your thoughts frame your experience, and they are pivotal to the kind of reality you create for yourself. So, if you are consistently negative, and if you constantly berate yourself, how can you trust yourself? 3. Introduce positive and empowering self-fulfilling affirmations into your subconscious. And that is just a very mouthy way of saying, say nice things to yourself and about yourself. Your mind and your body are always eavesdropping on the conversation you're having with yourself. So be kind. 4, act. Set a goal and write it down and get it done. There is no way around it. You have to act. Start wherever you feel comfortable, but with the understanding that you will venture outside of your comfort zone, because that's the only way you're going to grow. This goal can be personal, physical, spiritual, financial, relational. It doesn't matter. Pick one and work at it. And of course, it is important that you observe the acronym SMART, which means specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So the goal can't be vague. I want to lose weight. Oh no, that is not good enough. It must be specific. I want to lose 20 pounds in the next 6 months by eating healthy and exercising 3 times weekly. That's better. Measurable. I want to lose weight in the future. Nope. I want to lose 20 pounds in the next 6 months. Sounds better. Achievable. Losing 20 pounds isn't impossible. It's quite attainable if you have a healthy diet and you add a bit of exercise. Realistic. Your ultimate goal is to live a healthier life. So losing the 20 pounds is relevant to your purpose, and it's within reach. Timely. There is a start and an end date. 5. Practice compassion. When you give yourself permission to have made mistakes in the past, when you begin to trust yourself about making new choices, that's when your intuition becomes reliable and trustworthy. And that quote is from Nisa Nichols, so I'll say it again. When you give yourself permission to have made mistakes in the past, when you begin to trust yourself about making new choices, that's when your intuition becomes reliable and trustworthy. You will make mistakes. You will mess up. Sometimes the screw up will be small, and sometimes it will be an epic fail, and that is okay. Give yourself the permission to make the mistake. Learn from it and move on. It is in the learning of the lesson and the choice to move on that you will begin to trust new choices as you face different opportunities. I left the why for last, and that was deliberate, because this is what I want to stick with you. Why do we need to trust ourselves? We need to, because our highest self knows what's best for us. Our future self is counting on us to make the decisions that will see that self become a reality. Your inner you knows exactly who you are, even if you can't see the big picture. And as you develop that trust and nurture it and uncover your purpose, you will begin to see the importance of trusting yourself. You will walk around with an unwavering sense of self and knowledge that you can do anything you set your mind to. You live with the belief that anything you imagine with feeling is yours. You operate at a higher level, and you are unbothered by whatever the world throws at you, because you know you're all that and you got this. My beautiful souls, opinions are everywhere, and if we're not careful, we may find ourselves on paths we have no business being on. We don't want to be the dog without supper because he has too many masters. Be the master of your life. The only opinion that should matter to you is yours. To accept or reject an opinion is your choice and divine right. Marching to the beat of your own drum becomes easier when you flex that muscle, that trust muscle. When you prove to yourself that you are dependable, reliable, and you have absolute faith in your own abilities, the world opens up and you get opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to test and prove, to nurture and build that self-trust. You are here for a purpose. There is something you are here to do, and only you can do it like you. So do the work and be intentional with how you live. Your thoughts, your words, your patterns of behavior, your message. It must all be intentional. As you begin to trust yourself more, you will begin to see and appreciate the infinite wisdom that created you. I hope you were inspired to trust yourself, just a little bit more. I encourage you to make the commitment to operate outside of your comfort zone and take the steps to build self-trust. 1. Do an honest self-assessment. 2. Observe your feelings, thoughts, and speech. 3. Introduce positive thoughts and speech into your daily life. 4. Take action. 5. Practice compassion. Thank you so much for listening. It was, of course, my absolute pleasure to share with you for another week. Please share this and any other episode with your friends, family, and loved ones. Hop on over to the Apple Podcast and leave me a generous review. Oh, and a 5-star rating is greatly appreciated. Episode 10 is next week. Can you believe it? Next week. We are almost at episode 10. And it's going to be special. So special. So hit the subscribe button. You don't want to miss it. And until next time, remember, there are 2 sides to every coin. Just flip it to get the full view. Catch you next week. Bye.